ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. It's a good time. All right, I'll do one more short one if you'll hang with me. Yes, chat room. Yes. What do you think? One more before I rest my throat because I've been on for 4 hours and change now. Can I? Is that cool? Yeah. Hashtag OK Doomer. Oh God, this is so stupid. What's up with that? What is the deal with cat food? Why is Grandma eating it? It's like she likes the stuff. Glenn, simmer the fuck down. Why is the World Economic... Why is Olaf Schultz fucking my grandmother? What is the deal? If she can fuck like that, she should have an OnlyFans and not be on Social Security, am I right? Just like everything. This is why I'm like conspiracophobic right now. Like none of this shit lands. Like conspiracies have officially jumped the shark. There's at a certain point, if there are that many conspiracies and it's so ongoing and it's so pervasive, then the conspiracy is the norm. I don't want to get to I am legend on this, but whoever's trying to live outside the conspiracy is the villain then at this point. Ugh, God. All right. Speaking of villains at this point, if I may, ladies and gentlemen, double butt crack forehead, Tuckham's Carlson has Tulsi Gabbard on because they're having a host off. She fills in for him sometimes. And I don't know what this is not the topic of this. I don't think is related. I think this is from what he's talking about before she comes on. But this is Tulsi Gabbard. This Biden official just exposed the administration. And I'm fairly certain this is about Victoria Nuland and the Ukraine tanks thing, where they've been a bunch of people, a lot of the tankies are cutting this clip out where she's like, the Abrams won't even be there for months, and they won't be ready for the spring offensive. The Leopards will, which are way more of them, but the Abrams will be about defending the country later on. And the idea that if it continues into the summer, then that's a drop that the Russians can really be afraid of. And that's why she's on screaming about this. I'm pretty sure, but we'll see. It could be any number of things.
It's a story that's been kind of forgotten, but Victoria Nuland, who was the driving force behind the war in Ukraine, helped start...
No. This is, by the way, this is a Jimmy Dore talking point. She started the coup in 2014. Fuck the Ukrainians. They didn't want freedom. They don't want to be out from under Russia's thumb. They didn't want to be out from under Yanukovych.
The war in Ukraine. In January...
By the way, no. Victoria, just for the record, Victoria Nuland is not the Putin whisperer who was like, NATO's coming in if you don't fucking go.
To blow up the Nord Stream pipelines so that Russia couldn't send gas to...
Wait, you what now? Hold on.
In January, threatened to blow up the Nord Stream pipelines so that Russia couldn't send gas to Europe. Remember this?
I want to be clear with you today. If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward.
Yeah, that's different from blowing it up. Not moving forward. It hadn't actually opened yet. One way or another, whether with Germany's help or without, it transits other countries' waters, so they will deny the rights for the flow through, and that's that. Germany, if they want to operate in the rest of the EU economy, for example, will have to close it down because of sanctions. The sanctions will apply to Germany as well if they continue to do it. But, no, they blew it up. Sabotage. Look, it says sabotage. It must be sabotage.
Then in September, somebody blew up the pipelines, and that was the...
yeah, the Russians.
Biggest man-made environmental disaster in history. If you were...
No.
Climate change, you should be in tears because the amount of carbon that emitted into the atmosphere. So it was pretty obvious to us the Biden administration was involved in this.
Was it?
We said that, and we were immediately denounced by the entire left and the entire media as agents of Putin.
Well, no, it's not just that. That wouldn't be the singular thing that would make everybody think that. It's every fucking thing else. It's your constant ball gargling of Putin that kind of gave you away.
Why are they doing that? And by the way,
if we think you're a Putin stooge, the question we're not asking is, why are you doing that? We're just drawing attention to what you're doing. We know why you're doing it.
actually join this war in force, what will they do to anyone who objects to it? Ooh, they're going to punish people. You watch.
Wait, what? If who?
As agents of Putin. Why are they doing that? And by the way, when we actually join this war in force, what will they do to anyone who objects to it? Ooh, they're going to punish people. You watch.
So we haven't joined in force then. So the tanks and what's in force mean? We give them the F-16s at that point? Is it only force when we allow nukes? Is that the Putin doctrine anyway? So why not? Mutual assured destruction is just an umbrella under which you can attack anyone you want, with always like, if you stop me, I'll nuke you.
But with this in mind, we were a little bit surprised to see Tory.
Am I wrong? Like that? He has the squeakiest, dweebiest voice in the world for an alpha male.
Nuland essentially admit last week that
What? Essentially? My God! It sounds like the word essentially is going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting.
he did it. Watch this.
Ooh, look how happy he is.
Senator Cruz, like you, I am, and I think the administration is very gratified to know that Nord Stream 2 is now, as you like to say, a hunk of metal at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, so this is the clip that everybody's been playing. Danny Haifeng, Aaron Mate played this clip. Everybody's jumping on this. And by the way, scissoring it the fuck out of her statement. Like, you'll notice that is a hot edit. She's definitely got a but there or an and right after it. As a matter of fact, fuck it. I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. Hold on. Let's, where the fuck is this? Okay, hold on. I didn't set up my buttons, so you got to give me a second while I set this up. And by the way, talk amongst yourselves. Hi. Let's see. There you go. Let's see. I guess it would be on C-SPAN. I think that's where they got it from. Let's look up. Way to go. Search Nuland. Whoops. I can type. Dorian Nuland. Let's see. Political Affairs Radio testified at a Senate Foreign Relations panel of the Daily. I think this is the most recent one. January 26th. Yep, here we go. Okay. Now, I might have to scroll through this fucker. I don't know how long she was on there.
If you are type 2 and...
okay, hold on one second. Somebody's grabbed this. I'll scroll through it to try and find...
along the border with Ukraine.
Hold on. People have made... Chinese assistance to Russia. Somebody's made another one right here. Hold on. Holding Wagner Group accountable. Impact of sanctions. Countering Russian disinformation in Latin America. She says Iran-Russia alliance and drones. Okay, so we got to find... hold on one second. Let's see. Command, bring this up. Might as well while we're doing it here. Oops, there we go. I'm going to switch you guys over so you can watch as I do this. At this point, I'm not quite sure where in the questioning, other than the fact that Cruz asks his question of her. And there's Cory Booker, there's this guy, and then this guy, and then this guy. I don't know how long along the way. Jeff Merkley. Okay, here's Ted Cruz asking questions. Let's see if it's anywhere.
Senator Cruz, like you...
Oh, shit, man. I just fucking nailed it. You're welcome.
And I think the administration is very gratified to know that Nord Stream 2 is now, as you like to say, a hunk of metal at the bottom of the sea. I personally, having been involved, along with my boss, Secretary Blinken, in all of those negotiations with Russia to try to prevent this war in December, do not believe that had that Nord Stream 2 been cut off in January, that would have been decisive for Putin. It was important that the day the war began, the Germans cut the pipeline, as did the rest of the Europeans, but he was bound and determined to go into Ukraine, as you know.
Okay, so the idea is that this is Ted Cruz basically saying, let's see, his question is more germane to it, I guess, in this case. Hold on.
As you know, in January of last year, the Senate voted on my legislation to impose sanctions on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. And it did so before Russia had invaded Ukraine. When the Senate voted on those sanctions, President Zelensky publicly urged, even begged, the United States Senate to pass those sanctions. And President Zelensky said, passing those sanctions then were the last chance to prevent Russia from invading Ukraine, the last chance to prevent Russian tanks rolling into Ukraine. Was President Zelensky wrong?
Senator Cruz.
Okay, so the idea is that we wanted this war, we didn't want to prevent it, and I tried to stop that. If my sanctions, if they'd have voted on it, there never would have been a war. That's him selling himself. Now let's go a little bit forward after her answer and see if he does a follow-up or something. Let's see.
Bound and determined to go into Ukraine, as you know.
So you believe Zelensky was wrong when he said stopping Nord Stream 2 was the last and best way to stop this war?
I don't think it would have stopped Putin, and
when the government of Poland similarly said, begged the United States Senate to pass those sanctions and said this is the last and best opportunity to stop Russia from invading Ukraine, you believe Poland was wrong too?
I do not believe we would have prevented this war had the Europeans acted faster on Nord Stream 2. I wish it were the case, but I don't think it would have stopped.
Okay, well, let's talk about how the war is going. And I know that you and I both agree that it is important for Russia to suffer a crushing defeat.
There you go. So hardly, this is, I guess he's not going to have Ted Cruz on anytime soon. But this is, notice how they slice it up. She goes, we're all gratified. By the way, gratified sounds like somebody else did it to me. But I mean, glad is one thing, but gratified is an interesting choice of words, unless she's quoting Ted Cruz from some other thing that he said.
Stream 2 is now, as you like to say, a hunk of metal at the bottom of the sea.
Oh, she's excited about it. When it happened, they said, we're upset about it. We have no idea who did this. And if you think we had...
No, they didn't say we're upset about it. No, they didn't. Victoria Nuland and Ted Cruz specifically, the people in this clip, did not go, we're upset that Nord Stream 2 has been hit by something. Again, the Russians put a pig in their own pipe and blew it up.
Candidate, you're Putin. What are we watching here? Tulsi Gabbard is a former presidential candidate who joins us tonight. Congresswoman, thank you so much for coming on.
Former Congresswoman. Current podcaster.
Now they're basically admitting it and nobody is saying anything? Why?
No, they're not admitting it. You are beyond putting words in their mouth. Yeah, well, they did admit it. And so let's talk as if they just said they did it. And we know they did it anyway. So even if they didn't say they did it, then we know that they did it. And they're doing it right now. They're going to do it again. I love to do it. I just did it and I want to do it again. It's good to be the king.
I think there's two really important things for the American
2. Get ready. Write them down.
People to take away from what you have just outlined here. Number one is that statement from Victoria Nuland just exposed her and the administration's truth, which is that they have been lying to us all along about this. There's no way the United States was not either involved or knew about this or...
First of all, no, that's not what that statement was at all. Look how mad, like Tucker's like, yeah. He just, it's like, he kind of turns into the chicken lady from Kids in the Hall. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Very minimum approved it.
At the very, no, the minimum would be knew about it and turned a blind eye. If we approved it, it would be the maximum. Like that's basically giving the go ahead. What a bunch of goofy bullshit.
So they've been lying to us. They've been deceiving us, saying, hey, look, the United States had absolutely nothing to do with this.
Right.
Well,
which is, again, how does that differ from what she said just then? Because she didn't at the same time. Like, look, you and I are both glad that thing's not working. Fuck them. But we didn't do it. Like, she didn't tacitly, because she has to throw herself in front of that bus. And if she went, well, we didn't have anything to do with it. They go, notice how she had to say something because we all know.
Trying to sell us the absurd lie that, well, of course, Russia somehow exploded their own energy infrastructure to hurt their own economic interests.
Okay, dead pipeline that the Germans said we are never going to use. There is no economic interest in the future in it. Not with what Russia did in Ukraine and not what they were planning on doing, and certainly ongoing their threats to fucking nuke Berlin, for fuck's sake. They're not like, oh, the nuclear. All right, you know what? We should start up the Nord Stream. Maybe they were just kidding. The Germans turned off their side of the pipeline. They're not going to use it. They don't need it. They found other sources. They're getting off that teat entirely. They're still getting some oil from Russia, but not natural gas. So here you're Russia. You have a useless pipeline, pressurized, full of gas. And the Germans aren't going to just, they legally, because they're not taking gas out of the pipeline, because the minute they do, that's a violation of their own statement and the sanctions against them getting that, or what they said they would do. So the only way that gas is coming out of that fucking thing is either back out through Russia's side or out in the middle of international waters where it vents out into nowhere. And then they, by the way, apparently patched it and didn't repressurize it. There's no oil, or there's no gas in it now. Like, it's full of air. But again, if you've sent all of your skilled men to die in, trying to take Bakhmut 100 fucking times, there's nobody there running the fucking gas that isn't smoking when it fucking goes off. Like, this is so stupid. They vented the fucking pipe rather than have this thing pressurized and on their end, because the Germans didn't even have it fully connected up. So they've got it shut down miles out from where it connects to the sea, to their port, their area. The Russians don't. They're the ones feeding it.
Shows how stupid they think we are that we would buy such an absurd argument. They're lying to us, shows us yet again that we can't trust anything that they're saying. We can't trust any of these narratives.
Yeah, I don't trust. I'm done, okay? I'm done. Look at the bubbles, okay? Who farted? I think we've got to decide.
That are coming out of the mainstream media.
You are on the mainstream media, fucko. You're on one of the top 2 rated news programs, in quotes, on television in the United States. Mainstream. The fuck? What's your definition of mainstream?
Thing
podcaster.
Important to recognize that is very dangerous is that they are setting a precedent through what her statements are and their actions
that they can speak normally in answering a series of questions, and crazy people like me and you, Tucker, can grab onto any word and just build a big giant fantasy out of it. It's amazing. This is great. It's kind of like being Alex Jones without the bloat. It feels dirty, actually.
now
Yes.
That it is acceptable to go and essentially use sabotage against infrastructure as an acceptable strategy. So we have to look at our own vulnerabilities in this area, whether it's the undersea cables, our communication systems, our financial systems, our own power grid and energy system vulnerability.
Oh, I see. Because Victoria Nuland put on a fucking frog suit and swam down and blew up the pipeline. We have to worry about Russia attacking our infrastructure through cyber attacks and other stuff. Motherfucker, they already do. There's over 36 attacks linked to the Russian government that are substantial enough to warrant, if we decided to, sabotaging the fucking Nord Stream pipeline and making it look like an accident. Like that would be well within our right for just what we, not to mention what they've done to the fucking EU countries, but to us alone. They set an entire hacker farm on shutting down the electricity at American hospitals, the bigger the better, in major cities. They got foiled, but they fucking tried. And again, this goes by my rule. Attempted murder, same fucking sentence. Just because you fucked up and weren't successful doesn't mean you're not a murderer. An attempted murderer is a murderer.
The list goes on and on.
Yes, it does. It's just a list. You've lost Tucker, though. He's in snoozy bye-bye land.
The argument is very clear. Hey, look, if it's okay to go after and bomb and destroy Russia's oil and gas infrastructure, why would it not then be okay for someone else to come and attack our own, exploit our own vulnerabilities here? So this is the position.
Well, again, we didn't take credit for it. We're not taking credit for it. You have no proof that we did it. Again, it's absolutely logical that Russia did it to solve their own infrastructure problem because fuck the atmosphere. It's exactly the kind of behavior you get from Russia. And if the Russians knew it was us, because they've got sensors down that whole fucking thing. Again, this is a redux of like, this is the start of World War. This is World War III. We started World War III. Remember all the people who were saying when this happened that this is the start of World War III? You guys remember that? That was going to be the turning point. Everybody, fucking Russell Brand, Dorr, this idiot, that idiot. This was it was almost like a running gag for a while. Like, motherfucker, you think a venting pipeline is going to trigger a nuclear volley? Yeah, are you out of your fucking mind? But it didn't float, and they're like, fuck. So what they're trying to do is, because they got this footage, is just regurgitate this horse shit whenever they get an opportunity.
But the warmongers in Washington have...
The warmongers in Washington. Certainly aren't any in the Kremlin. That place is pure as the driven snow, I tell you. Pure as the driven snow.
Put us into, we the American people, all in the name of saying, hey, we're doing this to protect you. We're trying to protect democracy. But their actions are making us less safe and undermining our democracy because we cannot have a...
Look, I'm just as confused as Tucker looks. How the fuck is her talking to Ted Cruz about how they... And trying to, by the way, bridge a gap with a dude who she disagrees with about the premise he's giving. Like, look, we're both happy that thing's gone. And he brought up the pipeline specifically. She's like, we're both glad it's gone, but that wasn't going to change the existence of it one way or another. Wasn't going to change Russia's attack on Ukraine. They didn't go in to guarantee the fucking pipeline would continue, and they certainly didn't stop once it exploded. So it's immaterial to Russia's choice. Clearly, pipeline or no, this was a strategic choice on Vladimir Putin's part. Clear and obvious to everybody watching. He said so. But, warmongers in D.C. It's warmongers. Why? Notice, I can't get over the fact that she will just never say, like, warmongers in the Kremlin. We're dealing with warmongers in the Kremlin. We have to be very careful. That would be a sensible conversation for anybody who thinks that it's escalating to the point where you dial it down, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be the take you were taking? Wouldn't that be the way to discuss this? You'd first go, who started it? How serious are they about continuing it? What are their intentions? And then you would dial in your feelings about mitigating the response or the overtness of the response based on that idea, not on it is now the responsibility of the victim. Look, if she fights back, she's only exciting her attacker more. Tulsi Gabbard and Tucker Carlson are both in the Ukraine shouldn't have worn that short skirt group.
Democracy, if we can't trust what our leaders are telling us.
First of all, luckily, neither of these assholes I would consider leaders of anything, except, the local ball tanning 216, Union House forever. So, again, this is like the most untrustworthy source is insisting that we check our trust at the door with someone else based on a ham-handed interpretation of someone's statement in a congressional hearing, in a Senate hearing, specifically around this particular topic, as if she was like, we got that motherfucker.
Well, and they don't care about democracy at all. But
no, of course not. That's why she was speaking in an oversight hearing with the Senate. I mean, they showing up and testifying is the new defy a subpoena.
Mark my word.
No.
Anyone who calls them out on their lies, they've already denounced you, for example, as a disloyal American who serves their country in uniform. If this war accelerates, they will go after you and everyone else who's called.
Yeah, you're going to be rounded up, Tulsi. You and Tucker, you'll both be put in the same internment camp if you dare speak. Because it's coming. Yes. Nothing scary's happening now, but be scared. Be very afraid. They haven't done it yet, but yeah. They were going to do it. They want to do it. They've been trying to do it. They've been months and months, years and years. They've been trying to, The minute they get the evidence,
on their lies.
That's where it's up to the American.
I was just saying that. I wanted to get that in before we go to break. I said it. I was so naughty just then. Did you see how naughty I was? I was like, oh, we're going to get rounded up.
People.
See you in the FEMA camp. Oh, I felt like Alex Jones for a second. Oh, did you feel it? I felt it.
We're the only, where is their hope? The hope lies in our hands.
Yummy.
Fire, get rid of throw these lying, warmongering politicians out of office, and stop listening to the crap the mainstream media and big tech is putting out.
Also, talking points. Also, words and phrases. Also, bumper sticker. Also, RT headlines. Also,
and take a stand for the truth for our country.
Take a stand. Kick these people out. Don't let them be in there, the people who got voted in. They're implementing policies that the vast majority of the people want, and it's terrible. American people. I know, obviously, the Russian people. I talk to them all the time. They hate it.
And for our security and freedom.
Yeah, okay, my last word will be freedom. And that's when I'm just going to kind of, that's when, I'm done. It's like my interview safe word. I'm just going to say freedom. And then I'll do like that and look into the camera. And that's when he can say something. And then I'll say thank you or something.
Tulsi Gabbard, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Subscribe.
Thanks, Tucker. Thanks, Tucker. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love a good conspiracy. That's why I hate these, because they're terrible conspiracies. There's no supporting evidence. They don't even have a fucking grain. Can't they at least get grainy footage of Victoria Nuland in a Bigfoot outfit, walking across Maidan Square or something, handing out pamphlets during the coup? Anything? No? I'm asking for too much, aren't I?